Okay. Well, like I always say, why do you need glasses when you have a bottle? There you go. I love this stuff. Just found it. Highly recommend this brand, Uno Mas agave wine, strawberry margarita, delicious. I'm pretty tolerant of the agave wines. I thought I'd do a real change. I'll try to look at the camera. Oh yeah, my left arm, my right arm ain't working too good. Since some so often I appear to be such a hateful and angry person, I thought the topic of this video should be about love. Because I am actually a loving person. Anybody knows me. I've been in love many times. I want to dispel some myths about love. First, it's possible to have love and lust at the same time. But as we've shown over and over again in biochemistry, that love lust combination never lasts more than 4 years. I guess really my primary statement is that love stays. You can fall in love, be madly in love, and then it's over in a day or a week or a year or a couple of months. Love stays. That's love. You really haven't. Please, I'm irritated by the fact that almost all romantic poetry has been written by men, men's perspective, and their undying lust is what they're really describing about a woman's beauty and stuff like that. It's in that part of Paradise Lost. I've been recently been binge watching on the unit because I got tired of looking for decent movies. All these action movies, they're really not better than a series that ran for only like 4 or 5 years, 4 years, I think. And I know this about love because that's what my parents did is they stayed together for life. They honored their vows. They were faithful. Matter of fact, I'm actually pretty sure my dad was a 26-year-old virgin despite being very sexually attractive to a lot of women, stuff like that. And I know my mother was too. In that community, in those days, if you cheated, I mean, if you were sexually active, everybody knew it. And I've actually already told the story of how my father proposed to my mother. That's one of the things that really irritates about all these rom-coms and stuff like that is that they show these just perfectly ideal situations. And I especially hate that thing where women have to be catered to, they have to be proposed to in some magnificent way in a magnificent wedding, and all that's wasteful nonsense that mostly just glorifies the female's ego. My mother didn't require that. I know, actually, I'm pretty sure, quite sure that my parents were just married in front of a JP and what 1933, and didn't my mother didn't require a church wedding and stuff like that. It was ridiculous. I mean, it was a depression. A church wedding was pretty much not in the budget for a hardworking man who already had like 3 jobs. My dad. I think this is probably going to go 20 minutes, so I wanted to make it brief. But one of my primary elements to this discourse is that love stays. You people who fall into lust and you break up only to make up, kiss and make up and all that stuff, is I've had to explain and teach so many people lately, even that gay guy in Austin who attacked me and then tried, to apologize like 3 times and, shake or fist bump me and stuff like that, and then he, attempted one more time to, intimidate. I got him to admit that he was gay. He was gay for me. He was sexually attracted to me. That's why he was trying to dominate me. In real love, you don't, between male and female, because there's other types of love. There's the platonic love of children and stuff like that. I really don't believe in that there's anything other than lust between these people that don't accept their natural gender. There's only 2 genders. Don't give a shit what you say. So the one thing I know about love, and that's what happened between me and my wife, is I made a strict agreement with her and even told her I predicted some of her, and she admitted that, yeah, she did exactly what I said she would do. She would do that pulling away thing that women do, and I wouldn't tolerate it, because that's sadomasochism. So many of you are locked in these sadomasochistic battles that you think are love, when it really just initiated with lust. You loved each other because you were young and the sex was great and your bodies were beautiful. Trust me, that fades pretty quickly after the first pregnancy. And if you're not getting pregnant and stuff like that, you're really not fulfilling your roles. And it's really because the product of the love between a man and a woman is a child, or hopefully many children. Because as my mother, who was an awesome woman, my mother, oh gosh, so my mother, another thing about my parents is that they weren't like these jabbering parents and this whole new modern thing where parents are constantly hugging, grabbing, kissing, playing grab ass with their children. That didn't happen, especially not in my culture. It just doesn't happen in my culture. It didn't really happen before. This is a new thing, kind of promoted by Hollywood, and I just don't get it. You don't need to be constantly tactile and touching your children and stuff like that. Let me give you an example of love of of parental love, the platonic type of love, is that my parents weren't jabber. Now, me personally, being a more flamboyant person and so on, I really am very capable of that witty repartee that I love so much in movies. Like, what was the movie I watched the other night, which was an old one, which was Sleeping with Other People. Great funny dialogue in which the couple realized that they were in love because of their interaction and the fact that they had kept lust out of their relationship until they finally did get married. And so on. It's you people who marry like the first person who gives you good sex or whatever, who's really, that you find attractive or whatever. That's why the divorce rate is, what is it at now? I was living in San Mateo County, California, when the divorce it was all in the news. I'm sorry, today it rained and I left the door open when I went shopping in the town, and of course the flies retreated in here. I've got one of my fingers. They're going to occasionally do the Mike Pence thing and land on my. Of course, I don't have any white hair up there, but I was living in San Mateo County when it was first announced that San Mateo County was because of the California no-fault divorce law, San Mateo County became the first county in America in which the marriage rate was less than the divorce rate. The divorces exceeded marriage because you could just sign a no contest and walk away from it as long as there was like an agreed division of of assets and so on. And I've got to have another. I've I found out in Austin that I'm very tolerant of agave wine. I cannot tolerate that GMO corn liquor based products. I even tried what was non-GMO. Jaeger, what was it, Jägermeister or something from Germany, a little too spicy and a little too sweet, way too sweet. And still, even though they apparently weren't using GMO corn, and it gave me the shits. So let's go back to love and lust and the difference between the two. Right after I have a swig of this shit. You know what I'm saying, my nigga? Ooh, that's really delicious. Let me try to get a shot of this in here. Uno Mas. It's strawberry lime margarita. 13.9% alcohol. Somebody's going to be making another video today, hammered as shit. But back to what I was trying to elucidate, which is a person who is experienced in love and who many men younger than me noticing me seducing another woman who's already shown that she's nuts about me, have mentioned that, oh, damn, he's good. I may be able to tell that story if I get the time, because I don't do lines. I don't chase. Number one rule, if you ever want to fall in love, don't really chase a woman. That's, if you chase a woman, they run. That's one of the number one rules, is you got to be there around them. In my case, my mother and father were living in the same community, etc. And he fell in lust when she was 16. And 6 foot tall. It's, and stuff. My mom was, anyway. It's, you people have this screwed up Holly weird concept, and you have this poetic concept that's like this totally superficial, appearance-based form of love is, I know, as the flies are going to keep coming because they're attracted to the light bouncing off my forehead and the heat and anything else. I'm not going to even attempt to mess with it there, but you really, while thinking about what I say, you need to remember, men, I'm especially addressing men, women too, because women all the time, actually it's been proven in scientific studies that women will marry an effeminate man who's a good provider and stays around the house and is a good house husband, but women want to be knocked up by bad boys like me. Women are attracted to me and not necessarily the guys they marry. What women want in modern time, it's a complicated subject. Please, most of you have been so, what's the term, imbued with all this poetic nonsense, the drivel of men trying to seduce women with words. And actually, I got to stop here and really kind of rat out those educated men, or those men who just intuitively know that the words of Ovid, however you want to pronounce it, Ovid, the Greek poet, said, 3,000 years ago? I'll paraphrase Ovid. He said essentially, you can take the homeliest, chubbiest, least attractive of women, and if you slip up on her just right and tell her that she's the most beautiful creature I've ever seen. The vanity of women dictates that they will believe it for at least a moment or sometimes a lifetime. It's easy to seduce the extremities of female appearance. Beautiful women, sometimes I've manipulated beautiful women because they're the most insecure. All you have to do is like be talking to them in very, very chatty fashion, stuff like that, but keep looking at like a point on their face or something like that. And maybe while you're talking something, you kind of lean over and you, you know, you pretend like you're wiping a little schmutz or you're seeing if it's, and oh God, they just instantly crack. Women who are like Olivia Wilde, what's, uh, others, that are really super attractive women are super easy to seduce because they're just really super insecure because the slightest blemish and they're no longer perfect in the eyes of themselves and of their their female lovers that are always stroking their hair and telling me you're so beautiful and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, this modern Hollywood trend towards teaching women, which has been going on for quite a while, to reach out. See, back in the day when women were totally dependent upon their hairdressers and stuff like that, before Vidal Sassoon, the Sassoon cut, which a woman could get up and shampoo her hair, a little conditioner, and then put a blow dryer on it and off to work. Women were completely the captives of their hairdressers. And women didn't reach out and touch other women's hair. Not in my day, not in my mother's day. Well, my mother had naturally curly hair and had no need until late in life when it began to relax. Had no need for a hairdresser and stuff like that. It's all she had to do was really, just group it together at the back of her head and take a pair of scissors and just cut off the excess. My mother was an extremely practical woman and selfless woman. I love one of the reasons that I can talk about this subject is because I had a great relationship with my mother and my father, and I could see what real love is like. Uh, I know I'm talking about it more on the parental level, the platonic level and stuff a lot too much here, but I may go 30 minutes on this. If you really want to learn about love, you're talking to somebody who's been there, been in the shit, as they say it, in the military or in the unit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you know, yes, so yeah, yes, top. Hey, yeah, we all worship you, Jason. What is it, Jason Blaine, or please. My first element was love means staying. No breakup to make up, because that's sadomasochistic. Number second element was really there's a huge difference between physical lust and love. There can be the same thing, but they're actually two separate entities. And what you're looking for, if you want to get married and have children and have a real life and not just be bouncing around, although I'm not saying that bouncing around from woman to woman, it worked for me, but I was also careful. I mastered male birth control by the time I was 14 years old, sitting in that 104-degree real whirlpool, no jacuzzi, up to my elbows in 104-degree water every day. And then later, very soon, came orthoconceptual gel. I have no children. I'm 68 years old and I have no children because I've been careful in life. And also, I have a tendency to stroke the goat, lope the mule, stretch the wire regularly in combination with hot water keeps your sperm count in the impotent range. And for those of you who are my regular viewers on my primary channel, King Rat and stuff like that, and people who actually know me, yeah, the 3 years of testicular benign cancer and tumors have pretty much abated. I've got still one little, it was gone the other day. I've still got one little, but let me carry on this. Love is when they stay. Love is when a dispute between the two amorous parties is quickly buried, forgotten, and moved on, and they stay. They don't carry out, they don't continue the drama like I keep seeing on. Actually, last night I was figuring like, okay, I'm finished with, because I really didn't have time early in life to watch the series, The Unit, much, and they brought the women in to that series a lot, just so women would watch it too and show the power of women within the U.S. military and their role. Sorry, I got that. This shit is good. Next time I go to town, I'm buying out all the stock. I don't drink very often, but I want to have this on hand whenever I do. This is my pain reliever. This is my medically approved pain reliever. It's also an essential human nutrient. I guess you could say that love is an essential human nutrient. But I love all sorts of things. I'm a biologist. I love birds and bees and stuff. I can satisfy myself without. That's one of the reasons that more than a dozen years ago I lost all interest in women, because they're so problematic. They're so overly dramatic. They're so, and I mean, well, there's a difference between being dramatic and being a bitch. Yeah, this will be marked for not for kids. Look, if you want to have a successful long-term relationship, you got to do what I'm telling you to do, which is number one, pick out somebody that you know that you're compatible with. What I would prefer is a woman that's as intelligent as me. That's not going to happen. That is witty. I've run into women that are smart and witty and stuff like that, but they were flighty. They hadn't really grasped what love is about, and then they would flit from me to the, from like a butterfly from me to the next flower and stuff, because they were too young and just not bright enough to see what was going on. I've always long understood that it's all about the staying. In love, you stay. You forgive minor shit. You keep your, and you don't need these dramatic kiss and makeup scenes like in the movies. Stop letting Hollywood dictate your behavior. You're more likely to have success in this life if you're a bit more like a stoic like me. Keep your minor petty shit to yourself. None of us wants to hear it. As old saying around here, rub some dirt on it and keep that. It's also a military term or farmer's term or whatever. Farmers fight. If you've had some minor, thing, don't, because as comedian Bill Burr talks about, is that women within my lifetime have been encouraged to become jabbering, blathering idiots that bitch and moan and ask every little question and just love the sound of their voice, because they were trained to think that they were being kept voiceless. No, you weren't. Come on, man. You think my mother's voice didn't? My mother owned that house. My dad owned and was responsible for everything outside of that house, especially bringing home the bacon. My dad brought home the bacon. My mom usually had, a chicken coop built by my dad and a garden that would actually be tilled up and planted by her. And she would trade her excess vegetables and stuff like that with the local grocer in exchange for in-store credits for other things, sugar, flour, etc. You people have had such horrible examples as parents, and this Hollywood uh, perception and portrayal, and this confusion of Hollywood presented to you, and with no clear delineation except for movies like Sleeping with Other People. I want to recommend that as I'll probably put it in the notes as recommended viewing. You young people, I mean, by young people I mean anybody under like age 50. You young people have been sold a bill of goods about what love is. Love is, yeah, it's when the other person's like, no, no, I'm sorry, it's really, because it's relative. Physical attractiveness is relative. It's only crazy like when some some it's very common, more common amongst women, I think, than men. I'll check on that. But when a woman who merely her sole asset is her ass and her tits, her vagina, and she thinks that she's entitled to like a really hot guy and stuff like that because of her lust thing quotient. That's actually essentially the basis of most romantic novels. Not that I may have read a few sentences on those ridiculous. I've had known many people, including a, a, a niece and a couple of nieces that read, and a neighbor that used to read those romantic novels that are just pure bullshit that are usually written by men under a female's name. You know, when I'm sorry, I'm creeping up on 28 minutes. I remember early in life, the first woman that told me that I was a good kisser and was really attracted to me. I thought of myself as a rather plain looking guy. Actually, I was very attractive, physically attractive, and socially and every other, and intellectually attractive, and stuff. And on the California scale, she was considered a plain Jane. But no, when you fall in love with somebody, their blemishes. See that little Robert De Niro, and there's about 100 actors that got their blemishes and their what other people perceive as plainness or unattractive things. Actually, the French used to always put a beauty mark. Really beautiful French women would always put a beauty mark in other cultures too, and actually some of the guys, which were kind of light in the loafers. It's my primary element here is that if you find, I'm going to have to conclude with this because I'm creeping up on 30 minutes, which means like 3 gigs at the definition I sent. When you find somebody that's compatible and you both have sense of humor, at least one of you has a good sense of humor and the other one enjoys it, that's a good. And if you just stay together and forgive minor shit and cut out the drama, love is all about staying together. The real qualifier of love is staying, like my parents. If they love you, they will stay. If they're self-centered, they will go. That's all I got to say today.